What's up, Airsofters? In this video, we check out the all-new Elite Force H&K licensed MG4 AEG light machine gun. But first... If you're a light machine gun enthusiast, then you no doubt have heard of the H&K MG4. Meant to replace the MG3 general purpose machine gun for many roles in the German military, the MG4 was developed to be a lighter and more maneuverable LMG than other options. This airsoft version of the MG4 is made true to the real thing. It's lighter and has a folding stock, making it more maneuverable than the one you're probably running in your squad right now. Let's go end to end on this thing because it's got a good mix of materials and features. At the muzzle is a painted flash hider. Now this one is accurate to the actual MG4, attached to which is the metal outer barrel and a folding metal front sight, which doesn't lock in the up or down position, although there's like the indication of one. But it's got a nice solid detent, so you shouldn't have to worry about that going out of whichever position you set it on the field. The handguard is polymer and houses the folding bipod. Now, personally, this is perhaps the single highest quality bipod I've witnessed on an airsoft LMG out of the box. It's quick to stow and deploy, it swivels in just about every direction you need it to, which makes it easy on uneven terrain and when you need to lay prone with, imperfect positions. The legs have 3 different positions, and my favorite part about it is that both stowing it and deploying it are really easy and have very solid lockups, unlike every other bipod I've tried. There's also Picatinny rail sections on either side of the barrel up here, as well as pick rail here for attachments, optics, accessories, things like that, if you need them. The entire receiver, including the top cover, is made from aluminum. For those wondering, no, the barrel is not quick detach. We'll do a disassembly of this in just a minute. There is a plastic cover on the bottom that hides a bit of wiring meant for the box mag feeding mechanism. More on that later during this disassembly as well. And the other polymer bits include the stock and the lower trigger assembly, although the trigger itself is metal. This mix of aluminum and high-strength polymer really keeps the weight down, only about 4.5 kilos or just about 10 pounds, which is in the same weight category as many modern kind of AR pattern rifles. And this thing can hold a heck of a lot more ammunition. The stock, as mentioned, folds to the left. This can be done with the box mag installed, and you can still fire it while folded. You do expose the wire at the back that goes to the battery when you do fold the stock, so just be mindful that it doesn't get, snagged on something, but it's a reliable connection. There's no ring terminal to fail on you here. To access the battery compartment, you remove the stock pad or the butt plate here, and you can see you have all the space in the world for a battery of your choosing, which brings us to an important point. You can use an 11.1 volt battery in this, yeah, no problem. But you cannot use an 11.1 that's more than 1200 milliamps. This is the info that comes directly to us from Elite Force. Don't exceed this recommendation or else you risk damaging some portion of the internals. To load this bad boy, you've got 2 options. You can fire this without the box magazine, using the built-in reservoir, which holds 900 rounds by itself. Your second option is a whopping 4,000 rounds in this side-mounted box magazine. The magazine does not have its own battery and instead operates via some contact and is powered by the main battery of your AEG. I love that you don't have to worry about replacing this or running around looking for an extra battery when this one runs out. It's powered off the same battery as the AEG. Another very, very important note. You might think that you can put BBs in the top magazine and the box mag at the same time, but you should not. Doing so will leave no space for the box magazine to unload BBs, as that chamber at the end of the internal magazine is where the box magazine feeds BBs into. And when there's no place for the BBs to go, it could damage the feeding mechanism itself. So ultimately, you need to choose one or the other. Speaking of the box magazine, it's another cool piece of tech that's unique in Airsoft. Instead of being directly underneath On the bottom, it's canted on the left side, which means that you can get much lower to the ground in a prone position without the box magazine interfering. It also makes swapping box magazines more convenient since you can swap it from the side. And ultimately, the result of that is that you can get a lot of the same mobility guys have with smaller box magazines without sacrificing magazine capacity. On the inside of the box magazine, instead of a traditional wheeled mechanism like a high capacity mag, there's a worm drive at the bottom that feeds the BBs like a grain hopper up into the tube that connects to the gun. Now this seems to be a very reliable feed mechanism that allows for more space for BBs, increasing ammo capacity. Trade-off is that heavier BBs aren't recommended. Elite Force tells us that anything heavier than about a .32 may not be the best in this platform, but as we've seen at most milsim games where you're going to see a lot of these, .32s are a perfectly serviceable round to give you extra range and great stability even in windy conditions. With that said, the majority of the tests we did with this Outback used .25s. Now obviously an LMG is not a sniper rifle, so ultimate accuracy and precision at distance is not a huge deal. The bigger question is, as an LMG, as a support weapon, can it hit something with reasonable accuracy at 100 feet? Let's find out. I'd say yeah, at 100 feet, good suppressive fire. The accuracy was nowhere near sniper precision, but with the volume of fire you'll be putting down, a little spread is welcome for suppressing larger areas. Out of the box with an 11.1 volt battery, we were able to get 14 rounds per second and 380 FPS with .20 gram BBs, and that's plenty of firepower for outdoor games, and again, accuracy through volume. Now, one notable quirk we noticed when we were loading this thing is that it takes more than a few shots to get it firing. What I mean is that even though the box mag is fully loaded, or the internal magazine is fully loaded, after you hook it up, you need to pull the trigger and cycle it for about 20 or 30 shots or so before the BBs start to feed consistently. That's because of the ramp feeding mechanism that allows for both of those different magazine types to function kind of harmoniously with one gearbox design. So just know that you'll have to, kind of prime it before the whole thing works reliably. Great thing to do when you first go onto the field and you're waiting for the match to start anyway. Another thing of note is this cover plate that goes into the port where the box mag feed tube attaches. Don't lose it. It's small and easy to misplace. So keep it safe and don't mess with it on the field where it might be easy to drop and lose. If you lose it, BBs might fall out of the internal magazine where that cover plate would be covering the hole if you're not using the box mag. Or 3D print a couple replacements just in case you lose them. One last note, and this one's about safety. Because of the internal feed ramp design that I mentioned that allows the MG4 to use two different magazines, it's extremely difficult to get every last BB out of that internal chamber after firing. When you're leaving the field between games, packing up for the day, or whenever you're really not engaged in an airsoft battle, a barrel sock is, in my opinion, absolutely necessary to avoid accidents. With all of the cool stuff going on with this gun, we had to take a look inside. The Gearbox shell is proprietary and made of a very lightweight material. There is a quick change spring guide, so you don't need to take the gearbox all the way out to change the spring. The 3-gear system is driven by a standard short-type neodymium motor and interfaces with a piston that has half metal, half plastic teeth, as well as an aluminum ported piston head. The full-cylinder, polymer cylinder head, and polymer nozzle provide ample compression, and the trigger switch appears to be standard for most LMGs. What's unique about this system is the second motor toward the front of the gearbox. This spins this toothy extrusion, which powers another worm gear inside the handguard of the gun. You'll notice that this motor resembles the one inside the magazine, and just like that one, is wired right into the trigger unit. The amount of design work that went into this system is impressive. Out of the box, the provided gears and motor are all timed perfectly to one another. Not only are they all wired together, but at the voltages suggested by the manufacturer, all of them spin at an optimized rate, making for a harmoniously timed feeding and firing system. It works great out of the box. Just know that if you're an upgrade fiend, changing something like the motor or gear ratio for something higher speed could throw off the timing that has been engineered into this system. My advice, run it stock. So if you've wanted to be a support gunner and you were maybe hesitant because of the weight, or you didn't want an M249 like everyone else, then the H&K licensed MG4 AEG from Elite Force is the choice for you. Lay down suppressive fire and join your team on the airsoft field. Check out one of these bad boys right here on our website at Evike.com. Thanks for watching.